Hey, what's up? This is Leah Pritchett.
Hey, this is David Barton.
This is Chris Holbrook. This is Archie Cohn.
And this is Factory Stock Showdown.
And I am your host, Joe Castello, with you. The samtech.edu Factory Stock Showdown season is about to begin, and Factory Stock Podcast is where you will hear the inside interviews from the stars like this one.
You know, like my mom always told me when I strapped in the car, you know, when you get that starting line, kick their ass, you know, so that's what I intend to do, you know.
Chris Holbrook going after it in 2019. Cobra Jet Mustangs, Drag Pack Challengers, Copo Camaros, all battling on the 1320 for manufacturer supremacy. FCA, Ford, and Chevrolet with just one goal.
You win on Sunday and you sell cars on Monday.
The factories are back, the cars are fast, and the drivers are ready. Stars like Bo Butner, Jeff Turk, Mark Powick, Drew Skillman, David Barton, Leah Pritchett, Daddy Warbucks, Don Fazell, and more. You'll hear them on Factory Stock Podcast as the 2019 samtech.edu Factory Stock Showdown season begins. Now is the time. Factory Stock Podcast. Go to Apple Podcasts, click subscribe. The first 2 episodes are ready to drop. You're not going to want to miss it. Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, Factory Stock Podcast.
This is Joe Costello's WFO Radio Ignition, covering everything that has wheels, an engine, and a driver.
The reason I race is to get the chicks. You know what I mean?
NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, sports cars, and NHRA drag racing.
Hey guys, just want to let you know, WFO rocks.
WFO Radio is total motorsports.
It's just so cool.
Fasten your seatbelts, fire up the ignition, and drop the hammer.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, here's your host, Joe Costello.
WFO, what's up, everybody? WFO Radio is back. Ignition. And hey, everybody, you probably noticed very rapidly. You're like, hey, this guy's not in the studio. He's off. He's somewhere. He's still at the Gatornationals. And that is not exactly the case. I am already in Johnson City, Tennessee, home of Performance TV on Motor Trend Network, Sunday morning, 8:30 a.m. And this is one of those weeks that has been particularly challenging when it comes to the travel schedule. And so what we wanted to do, myself and the great Giovanni in Miami, is pop onto the Ignition audience and get everybody up to speed with what's going down and what's happening and what has happened and what will happen with the WFO universe. Oh, there he is, Giovanni in Miami.
Well, all right. You heard me?
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you hacking and coughing, and it sounded like, I don't know, emphysema or something. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It was just a cough. I didn't know how you heard it through a mic that was off, so I guess your mic is not really that shut off when it's off. FYI.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're not using it right, but hey, it's okay. It's okay. We'll get you a cough button here in the fantastic WFO studios. What's up, Giovanni? How are things down there in beautiful sunny South Florida? I can tell you it's 40 degrees here in Johnson City, Tennessee. Gainesville Raceway was cool and wet for Saturday and Sunday, but most importantly, we accomplished the 50th Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gatornationals. We got it in, a historic event, sold out crowd on Saturday, just a fantastic deal, and it went off, I won't say without a hitch, but with so few hitches that nobody noticed. Great stuff. How about you? How are things going?
Oh, well, things are great down here. It's summer-like.
Yeah, I noticed today. I was home for a few hours. We arrived back at the Hacienda at 3 a.m. after driving back from Gainesville, the 5-hour drive or so. The rain delay did push us back a little bit. So we didn't get back until 3 a.m. And, of course, I flew out And now we're getting ready for a little performance TV. But for the WFO universe, there's a couple of things that we do want to follow up on. Giovanni was all over the coverage from Auto Club Raceway out there in California. We are going to discuss Kyle Busch and his historic 200th victory. 200 victories. Kyle Busch, a great racer who has accomplished winning in all the categories of NASCAR. Kyle Busch. If you listened to the show a week ago, you know that we both went on the record as saying we don't really think this accomplishment, while it is a factual statement, he has won 200 races. There's a lot of discussion and debate about it. I am seeing debate, people saying that Richard Petty's 200 wins are not very legitimate because he didn't race against quality competition. I'm seeing that all over Facebook. And there are people who are actually trying to make the argument that Richard Petty's wins are less significant than Kyle Busch's wins, which I think is, certainly debatable at very least and insane at their worst. But it just goes to show you an accomplishment is in the eye of the beholder. And there are several people making that statement, like, hey, in the Campbell World Truck Series and now Gander Mountain Truck Series, like those teams are, way better than the local yokels that Richard Petty was beating on a Thursday night in, somewhere in South Carolina. So, it is an interesting debate nonetheless. Regardless, Kyle Busch dominates and wins all three stages?
Yes, absolutely. Won everything, led every lap. No, not every lap, but it sure felt that way. There was the only time.
Kyle Busch.
Yeah, they even decided to make it interesting after the second stage. He sped coming off pit road, and he had to start in the, I guess at the end of the lead lap cars, so 14 for 16 for something like that, the mid-teens.
Yeah.
Because, he just dominated the first two segments, so they had to make it interesting for a little while. But he pretty much diced them up through the field as there was, 80 laps to go, I think was the last segment. So he had plenty of time to go through the field and mow them down. And there really was no other car at any point. Maybe a little while Brad took a lead and it looked like he might have a car, but Kyle was pretty much just dominant. He wanted to get 200.
Good for Kyle Busch and good for Kyle Busch's fans. And he's tough here at the start of the year. He's going to be tough this year. The big three and Joey going to be battling again this year. And Richard Saugus was out there tweeting out a lot of great photographs. A lot of our listeners from Cali were out there enjoying. And I hope everybody had a good time. Now, it's probably obvious to everyone that when it comes to having watched anything, I have watched nothing other than the NHRA drag racing. So other than Giovanni's word, I got nothing. But what we'll do is we'll reconvene on the show next week. I am in actual recovery from basically 5 days of talking all day, and then we got the TV show tomorrow. I want to save up. So let's get into a couple of things that are of vital importance to the WFO universe, and then we'll talk Formula One, and then we'll part ways. But we have launched a new podcast called Factory Stock Podcast for this new class of drag racing, samtech.edu Factory Stock Showdown. And Drew Skillman won the race, and it was just an unbelievable situation. The cars picking up so much ET in mile per hour. David Barton with a horrific crash against one of our guests on the podcast, Chris Holbrook. David Barton, both Chris Holbrook and David Barton were on each of the podcasts. And so we want to make sure that the WFO universe, that you guys who subscribe to this show know about it. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts as soon as possible and write us a review. As we have kind of let you behind the scenes over the years, that when you launch a new podcast, you need reviews and 5 stars and people to sign on. And we really want this podcast to be rated as highly as possible. And so if you could just go to Apple Podcasts and type in Factory Stock Podcast, or use our social media, and you'll see on Facebook and Twitter, the Factory Stock Podcast is in the feed. And a lot of racing teams and even Competition Plus, everyone is really doing a great job of promoting it. Our first guest was Leah Pritchett. I recommend starting out at episode 1. This is going to be a limited series. We're going to, at the end of the season, we'll probably have about 20 episodes, honestly, because we intended to do a pre and post for every race, but we went big for the Gatornationals, and even we'll have a wrap-up show and then winners next week. So, Factory Stock Podcast, if you love it and you love the guests and hearing inside this category of racing, we would hope that it is worthy of a 5-star review and some sort of written review on Apple Podcasts. And then Brian Massengill from Sam Tech, we're going to do a breakdown of the race because that's what we were able to do in the time that we had allotted. And we already have Drew Skillman queued up for next week. And Drew Skillman will be on, and we're going to connect with David Barton, and we're going to find out what happened with the incident, the crash, and delve into all of these different factors, including at-track audio as the event played out from Brian Massengill, who was acting as a roving reporter. So it's going to be really cool. It's kind of a different podcast to the way we're doing it. You heard a taste of the sound and the feel prior to this show, Factory Stock Podcast. Hopefully you love it, and this is a new creation by the folks that brought you and bring you WFO Radio and NHRA Nitro. Hopefully you enjoy it. And if you love Camaros, Mustangs, and Challengers, and real muscle cars racing at 180 miles an hour just about, you'll love it. I think you'll love it. You're going to be introduced to a whole new group of really special people, and I think you will enjoy it. And on a side note, we have had the discussions at the track over the past week, me and several different people, and I say we, and I really think that this Factory Stock Showdown has the potential to be a big thing, like a transcendent thing that goes beyond being one class of NHRA drag racing. I can see it having its own show, its own coverage, the fact that there are so many people who own a Mustang, a Camaro, or a Challenger. If those people feel connected to this class and that their cars are racing against their enemies, it's going to be a huge thing in a few years, and that's why we started the podcast now. We see something. We see something that people are going to love and like and want to be a part of and want to follow, even the most casual person. Let's call it, the 18-year-old girl who's got a 6-cylinder Mustang, who loves her car and names her car, can visualize herself or her car racing at 180 miles an hour. I think it's going to be huge. We'll see. But Factory Stock Podcast, subscribe, download, write a review. And if it's worthy of it, 5 stars. You will love the guests. You will love what people have to say. So let's talk a little Formula One now, Giovanni. Ferrari, their preseason tests. Oh, my gosh, it's going to be great. They're going to go out there and win. And I know one race doesn't make a season. And, in fact, in years past, we've had success and it's not gone anywhere. But this was all Mercedes, and it was Bottas, apparently. Give me the breakdown. What is your assessment of what we witnessed? And then delve right into the Haas F1 report.
Well, the race was much like the NASCAR race. Dominating fashion, Valtteri Bottas, who started second, took off like a rocket ship into that first turn and beat Lewis to the turn and never looked back. Won the race by 20.88 seconds over Lewis and 22 seconds over Max. Max was actually looked like he was going to battle Lewis there at the end for a second, but he didn't quite make it. But it was in all Mercedes dominant fashion. They had Lewis and Valtteri were dominant in qualifying, and they just took off. They took off running. But I believe I was reading somewhere Lewis might have had a problem. Says he might have had a problem with the car or something to that extent. But either way, he had enough to come in second. He just definitely didn't have anything for Bottas. I mean, I was shocked that Bottas beat his teammate by 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as we continue on, the Ferraris did not run very well. Seb came in 4th, and Charles Leclerc came in 5th. And Leclerc was actually tracking down Vettel there at the end. He came in like within 1 second of Vettel, but they were 57 seconds back of Bottas and 58 respectively. So pretty far. But the good news is K-Mag came in sixth for Haas, 87 seconds back of the lead. Unfortunately, Romain Grosjean DNF'd. Car broke. He also had a big problem in the pits.
Romain, like Romain lettuce?
Yeah, Romain.
Romain lettuce.
But without the E.
Well, what happened in the pits?
He had a really long pit stop, a problem in the left front again, and this time it didn't appear to affect him immediately, but much later he broke down. The left front broke. I believe the suspension broke, but it looked like definitely the same tire. They had an issue in the pit, and so they had been running like 6th and 7th for 7th and 8th, and after the pit he came out like 14th, and then he just had to retire.
Well, hey, points nonetheless.
But yes, good points. Eight big points for K-Mag to start the season. And that was, I guess the Haas made the best of a weekend that the way it looked like earlier, it looked like they were going to get double points if you ask me.
Well, it was a long season, and of course, I look forward to sitting down and checking it all out this coming weekend. But we are here in Johnson City, Tennessee. Hopefully, everybody has their DVR set. Listen, I had so many people come up at the Gatornationals and shout out WFO, and I know they're not all NHRA Nitro listeners. I mean, I know they listen to NHRA Nitro, but I'm sure some of them enjoy the Ignition show, the entertainment-centric program that is Ignition. And so, assuming that they are out there listening, and this is an abbreviated show, I just want to say thank you to all of those folks. It was a very interesting weekend. The professor, Warren Johnson, winning Unfinished Business. That was really cool. I really thought Terry Vance was going to take it extremely seriously, and Warren Johnson is the one who took it. He said he was having fun, but whatever he did, he was doing it better than everybody else. And he won the deal, and then they switched cars, and it was just a really emotional and fantastic weekend all around. Just so many different elements. Spending a lot of time with Daryl Gwynn and Daryl Gwynn's family was just spectacular. They had an event for all their past sponsors and crew members. Got to go over and spend a little time doing that. Got to spend time with the folks from Amalie. It was really a blur from when we left on Wednesday morning to go up to Gainesville Raceway, and it was just nonstop all the way through completion. And just some of the greatest stories that you could possibly imagine, whether it be, forget the performances of the race car, where we saw countless world records, quickest ever in multiple categories. For instance, Mickey Thompson, Top Fuel Harley Davidson, quickest ever, fastest ever. Pro Stock Motorcycle, quickest ever, fastest ever. But also Pro Modified. We saw the quickest ever run reset over and over again. E3 spark plugs, we saw an ET that would have been number one qualifier 1 year ago would not have made the field this year, the first all 7-second field. So the new track surface and all that, everything was fantastic. But it was more the emotion of the event and crazy things happening. Megan Meyer getting a race win out there in Top Alcohol Dragster over Mike Booker, who, has got a crazy personal story. Like, his dad was a Top Fuel racer, and he was like, I'm going to be a Top Fuel racer too. And his dad passed away when he was a teenager, and it just totally upended his whole life. And so now he's in his 40s. And he's doing it all of a sudden. He's like, I'm going to try again. And he makes it to the final round and loses to Megan Meyer. Randy Lynn Shipp and Bo Butner, they're two friends of WFO, and it's important to state that. Like, they're helpful in many ways to things behind the scenes of WFO, and are currently working on the next generation of WFO T-shirts, by the way. everybody. And so that is something that you're definitely going to want to get in on when it happens. And Randy Lynn winning stock eliminator at the 50th Gatornationals. And if that wasn't big enough, Bo Butner having what he'll tell you flat out was just a crazy cosmic day and winning pro stock. And so the two of them win stock and pro stock together at the 50th event, like the biggest event that we're going to have all year. It's just total insanity. Great stuff. Top to bottom, it was great. I know a lot of people flew in, so a lot of our listeners were there traveling to the race. And what can I say? It was just an amazing event. It was as good as it could possibly be. Yes, there were some hitches like NHRA.TV, Gio, the audio went out a couple of times. And so people be pissed. They angry. But if you can look back the glitch that caused an audio issue, etc., a couple of moments over a 5-day event, it was still a fantastic event. It was really great. Great stuff. Had a blast, had a ball. And now on to Vegas. Now, NHRA Nitro this week, because of my travel, will be me and Alan Reinhart doing a debrief session. And we're going to catch up with all the winners a week from now because it's just, it's impossible to do the show while also traveling. And the travel day was pretty okay. What about you, Giovanni? You got anything you want to add? Let's talk Sports Collision. The Miami Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill era is over. And now the what's his name? Ryan Fitzpatrick? So we got a guy with the same first name. That's a little weird.
The beard, the Harvard grad, I think is what he is.
Who, showed some flashes of, he's a solid, what would we call him? Like a journeyman, solid, probably slightly above average quarterback. Right?
Did you say above average?
Yeah, I said slightly above average quarterback.
No, I'd say average at best. He's not above average by any metrics that I can think of. This is a guy.
Look, it's going to guy out of the word slightly.
It's going to be.
You won't even give him the word slightly.
No. He's not slightly above average. That would mean. Look, if there's 32 teams, and I guess average is what, right smack in the middle somewhere, between 12 and 18.
Yeah,
I don't think at best he's 15 at best, and I don't want to rattle off quarterbacks in my head, but no, man, this guy is nowhere near average, to be honest with you.
So what is it? Is this a downgrade from Tannehill?
Why? Maybe this is an older version of Tannehill. I think this is more exciting than Tannehill. This guy is come on, think of everything we've seen from him. He's exciting. He'll win a game, but then he'll lose 3 or 4 in the third or fourth quarter for you.
I don't know. I've only been seeing the news reports.
Definitely more exciting. Definitely more exciting.
Did they dump? Did they waive Tannehill? Did they trade him? How is it that he's going to Tennessee?
They traded him to Tennessee.
They trade for what? The
same thing as last week.
What, nothing? Can you not say that?
All right, no, this one, no, stop. I'm going to cut this one out.
He's going to bleep it again. For those of you who couldn't figure out what the bleep was last week, you're getting a second shot. You're getting a second shot at it, folks. That's what we do on WFO. Even on these Joe's on a cell phone shows, you're going to get a little brain puzzle. You're going to get a little something to try to figure out what this guy is saying.
No, I mean, if you really want me to look it up, I think there was a swap of like 5th and 6th pick, 6th round picks and something else. And I think the big deal was that the Dolphins are paying like the vast majority of Tannehill's contract.
What? Why would they do that?
I'm not 100% exactly sure. I'll look it up for you if you want.
So we paid Ryan Tannehill to go away. Like, I don't think he was that bad, man.
That's what I'm hearing.
I hear the Major League Baseball opening day tickets have been secured.
They actually have, yes. You should be very grateful to me. I secured tickets at a discount compared to the amount of money that they were trying to charge us to watch Marlins baseball on opening day. Unbelievable. You'd think we were in New York or something.
What do you mean? I saw the prices. There's nothing New York about them. It was like $40.
No, that's what you say. Go click on there, 4 tickets and a parking pass and all the BS fees. It was almost $314 for 4 tickets and a parking pass.
Okay, and so what was your?
So that comes out to about $78 a ticket. So don't tell me it's $40.
And your secret maneuver is what?
Well, I got a discount. I was able to acquire tickets at a discounted rate.
Where are the seats?
I will give you those details at the appropriate time. Section 6.
Section 6.
Section 6. Down the first baseline. Like in the section beneath where we were sitting the last time we went to the stadium and the VIP
good. I'm not going to ask any
section.
Questions, I'm just going to show up.
But accept it, man. That we'll be in for $40 a ticket instead of $80 a ticket.
Love it. Love discount. I love Section 6. I love going to the opening day of Major League Baseball. It is going to be great. Anything else Sports Collision related that everybody needs to know? Is there anything else WFO related that we have started that we were going to do this week? Fantasy League scores. If you want to read them, I'm eager to listen, but I'm not in position to be able to read them.
Are you talking to me or just the audience?
No, I'm talking to Lenny, the other producer of the show, who is also my secret invisible best friend.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
Lenny really can't do anything. Yeah, Lenny's the mouse that I have in my pocket. Hey, Lenny? Yeah. Hey, Lenny, why don't you read the fantasy scores? Squeak, squeak, squeak. Oh, really? Right.
All right, I didn't realize. I thought maybe you were talking to the audience, like if you guys want to go read the fantasy scores. But now I understand what you're getting at. Yes, I have the fantasy scores handy. Are you ready?
Wonderful. I am. Let's keep up with it.
Auto Club 400, Auto Club Speedway.
Really, is what it is. Just make sure you give my score.
The weekly winner with 364 points, Ray Indy, which I was actually informed his name is Ryan, and he is Elephant Racer's youngest brother, who lives in the Indy area. Hence, Ray Indy.
Got it.
Craig and Newhall, second, 354. Tom Inc. That can't be our Tom. 346. No. I can see her Almirola's 340. And New Hampshire Bucknut 442. 339. Bull's Wool 338. Stubo 336.
Stubo.
How did Stubo get 336 over there from the Gators? I could barely crack 200.
Dude, Stubo was asking about you. Those guys were asking.
I know, man. I gotta be able. I gotta get my permission slip signed for next year.
Stubo, listens to Ignition, which is great. Enjoys the show and the banter, and feels part of the show, and gets exactly what we're trying to do with this thing. And I thought that was so nice. We're in the staging lanes, and she's coming over, and I'm like, Stubo, she's like, yeah. And was like, where's Gio? Was genuinely, and I almost don't, I really don't understand why, was really connected to you, really liked the idea of Gio showing up, coming out to the racetrack. And of course we texted you and said, hey, just drop everything you're doing and come up, but you did not.
Yeah, unfortunately I could not. It might have been,
no big deal.
But,
No big deal.
No, of course not.
But just want to know that you were missed.
Oh, I greatly appreciate that.
Stubo.
I know why people like me, because I'm a nice guy and I'm come across as genuine, even when I'm kind of
positive. And you have a wonderful mental.
A little bit rough around the edges,
A little.
Well, not really. I'm actually kind of round now, but I digress.
Let's not go there.
Southern Racer X 334. Marvin 826 guy 329. Boogity 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 326. Black Ice 321. Elephant Racers 316. Dead On 312. Little Low 311. Moonchild 311. Royal Flush Racing 310. Mr. Fantasy NASCAR. Oh, horrible day for him. 310. Dirt Girl, 310. There's a whole big cluster here at 310. And, all right, we're going to stop there. I think that's, or do you read?
Go to the overall. Well,
Okay.
What was my weekly score?
Okay.
What did I do?
Well,
What did you do? What did Gray do?
Well, I haven't gotten that far, so do you want me to just keep scrolling through and just mention people?
Well, drivers of note, man. You said we do it every week.
Okay,
We
Hockey
do the
Dad,
top 10 and then people
309.
of interest.
Dirty Hippie, 308. Moneyman, 306. Dirt 99, 306. Low, 301. Former champ, Smothered and Covered, 300. Spider Monkey, Gary, Walking the Dogs, winning Grammys, winning iRacing, 299. Rich and Saugus at the race, 298. Bobby, 293. Patrick, 291. Team Gray, 290. Oh, I know who this is. Mischief Bent Valve. We know they sent a message last week. 288. Miss Dirty Hippie, 286. Dude, you
don't have to give everything.
I'm not. Those are the ones I'm catching as Easy E.
Everybody is within
270
5 points of each other.
Apparently
It's
so.
just surprising. Surprising that all the numbers are so close.
Oh no, well, dude, we must have done horrible. Joe, here you are, 244, and I'm right behind Gio, 240.
Wow.
Oh, I had Clint Boyer, 38th, killed me. You had Clint Boyer also. There you go. That was the only true. You had Truex, Boyer, Almirola, and Buscher. You actually had a good team other than Boyer.
What happened to Boyer?
Broke the car or something. I don't know. He was having a hard time. He said he couldn't tell if he had a cylinder short or if it was just a new package. But I think the car broke. He obviously he DNF'd and he came in 38th.
Thanks, Clint.
Yeah, ruined my fantasy day too.
All right, go to the overall. Give us the top 10.
All right, overall. You know, this would have been much easier if that guy who runs a website would have done it.
Oh, Pat? Yeah, well, reading it off the webpage driver group game is really challenging, especially cold reads. I've noticed that over the past couple of weeks. It's just, it doesn't give you the number. It's just a list. And it doesn't go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way on down. And so once you scroll above and you're in the middle of it, and you lose track of what number 1 is, you're lost. And so, yeah, it's very difficult to do a cold read out over the air. So don't worry, Gio. We don't think less of you. Any less than we already did.
Yeah, that doesn't concern me. All right. And in the overall, 00 dead on, 1590. I would say it looks like he maintained the lead over Team 12, 51 points back with 1539. Bobby's Bug Barn takes a step up, 1513. He's 77 back. Fourth is I Can See Her Almirola's up 11. That's a big gainer there. Royal Flush Racing tied with Mr. Fantasy for fifth, 94 back. Ryan in Indy, seventh. Big mover, 17 points up, winning the week. 101 points back. Patrick the Webmaster, 102 points back in eighth. Team English, 104 points back in ninth. And Dirt Girl, rounding up the top 10, 108 points back. Let's see, 15 is Rich and Saugus, 135 back. 19 is Elephant Racers, and Miss Little Low are tied for 19th and 20, 155 back. And DRT Dirt 99 is 25th, 168 back. You know, it doesn't give me the option to show all of them anymore. Okay, High Line, Fine Line, 30th, 186 back. Geo, 35th, 215 back. Takes the big plunge, drops the anchor, 15th places to 35th. Terrible week by G.
Fail.
WFO Joe, 40th, dropped 11 points. 11 places, whatever. Look at this. I'm having a stroke thinking how bad and how much we sucked this weekend.
Thanks, Clint. Thanks a lot.
Oh, look at that. Team Gray up 1 point to 41st. Just 10 points behind Joe. 240 back. 45th.
Right, Gray.
Day Racing 21, tied with Smothered and Covered, 245 back. Low, the reigning champ. The crown must be heavy so far this season. 50th, 280 points back.
That's what they say. They say a lot of times those championships and this kind of stuff is sleep.
Yep. Hockey Kid, 55th, 302 points back. 85 Racing, 60th. And there on out, you guys are all sucking, so I'm not going to read any more of you.
No, don't read anybody that
How about
just
that?
Given up. That's quit. Well, there you go.
I got a fantasy. I know we haven't been able to hook up with the hippie for the Tibby, but I got a Tibby. When you go check your team, automatically change to whatever the next race is, because I'm already having difficulties this early in the season remembering to switch my team. FYI.
Well, I set my team at the start of the week, and I set with Clint Boyer. So, if your guy crashes out, it doesn't matter what you do. I picked my team to start the race early in the week. I knew I was going to the Gatornationals and that I was not really going to be in touch with thinking about anything else. And I set my team, and it stunk. It stunk on ice. So what are you going to do? It is what it is. And there it is. All right, Giovanni, anything else? Any final thoughts? This was initially, folks, it was going to be a 10-minute Joe cops a plea to save his voice show. And instead, you've received approximately 40 minutes of content. Has it been good content? Not really, but it's been something. And for those of you that listen on your way to work, maybe it got you somewhere. Like you were like, oh, man, this was terrible content. But now you're at your location. And so we've done our job.
Well, it's never terrible. I wouldn't go that far. But it's just not as great as our usual Winty banter.
Look, the in-studio stuff, let's think about what we're dealing with here, man. We're in two separate places, and I'm, very in step with one of the motorsports, and the other two I'm totally out of the loop. I think this has been fantastic. And most importantly, the whole exercise is to make sure that everybody can go and listen to Factory Stock Podcast right now. Episode 1, Episode 2. Episode 3 is going to be a race recap with Brian Massengill. Episode 4 is going to be winners and hopefully David Barton and, people from the factories as we wrap up the Gatornationals. We want to get everybody subscribed. That's the point. Every single person who listens to Ignition on a regular basis, like our core audience, I would hope that they would, enjoy it enough that they would write a review and subscribe on iTunes. And if they do that, this podcast is going to be really big. And people in the factories, I'm already hearing that people at Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler are interested in it. And they're liking what they're hearing, and it's got some big potential. And so WFO Universe, if you guys want to help us out, that's the thing you can do right now is go to, open your podcast app. Bobby Graham was saying something about Podcast Addict, put it up on there. I was under the impression that is just something that connects to Apple Podcasts. And we're going to put it out in some other places, Stitcher and TuneIn, and we could do it on Podcast Addict and Google Play. But really, we are very focused on Apple Podcasts right now. And so once we finish that, we're going to roll it out in some other locations. But it's important that everybody that does Apple Podcasts subscribe to Factory Stock Podcast. You're going to love it. We're going to work real hard to make sure that you love it. Gio, final thoughts?
Yeah, subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars.
I don't think you should unsubscribe because I think there's probably some negative thing that happens in the algorithm. That's the whole deal about this deal. They probably, want you to subscribe and then they make sure you listen to it. It's all of this with Facebook and Apple. It's really starting to feel a little bit, they know a lot of stuff. And with this algorithm. So we're trying to make this thing as possible.
We're trying to beat the machines is all we're trying to do. Beat the machines. All right, it looks like we lost WFO Joe there. Everyone, we'll see you next week.